What's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about the Subaru EyeSight problem. It pops up on your little dashboard. It's like EyeSight has now disappeared. And stay tuned for the end because we're going to be going through the exact Subaru document that shows you all the stuff and, of course, the price to get it repaired. So let's go ahead and take a look.
If your Subaru Forester is experiencing sudden EyeSight system shutoffs, stop replacing the windshield glass. There is a hidden failure inside the EyeSight stereo camera assembly that will destroy your driver assist capabilities or cost you a fortune if you don't catch it right now. In the next few minutes, I am going to pull back the curtain on this flaw. I will show you exactly what is physically failing inside this crucial safety system. I will walk you through the precise step-by-step physical repair required to fix it. Finally, I will give you the exact repair bill at the very end. This appears to affect several models from 2022 through 2024, including the Forester plus others. You are driving along on a hot afternoon and your dashboard suddenly lights up. The EyeSight system completely disables itself without warning, throwing a temporary halt message. Many owners on the forums assume they just have a dirty windshield or weak battery. They relentlessly clean the glass with microfiber towels and restart the car. It might work briefly, but the system inevitably crashes again when the cabin gets hot. The reality is much deeper than a dirty piece of glass or a simple glitch. Let us talk about the actual physics of what is happening behind your rearview mirror. The EyeSight system relies on a highly sophisticated stereo camera assembly packed with microprocessors. Because this complex camera unit sits directly against the windshield, it literally bakes in the sun. The area between the windshield glass and the headliner acts like a miniature greenhouse. Solar radiation penetrates the safety glass and becomes trapped inside the black plastic housing. Because the camera is mounted high, all the interior heat naturally rises directly to it. The internal microprocessors governing image recognition run extremely hot, even under normal conditions. To keep those vital processes from melting down, the manufacturer integrated tiny internal cooling fans. These fans pull stagnant, superheated air away from the delicate circuit boards inside the housing. They exhaust that heat into the broader cabin space to maintain a safe temperature. However, there is a massive engineering flaw in the control software logic operating these fans. When the camera experiences high humidity and high temperatures without the vehicle running, a failure triggers. The poorly written software gets confused and completely fails to command the cooling fans. Because the fans become completely inoperable, the internal temperature of the camera spikes rapidly. The printed circuit boards begin to physically warp and expand under the extreme thermal stress. To prevent a catastrophic thermal meltdown, the system throws a self-preservation code and shuts down. It disables the entire EyeSight system to save the circuit boards from permanently burning up. When you plug a professional scanner into the OBD2 port, you will not see a generic code. You are going to find a very specific diagnostic trouble code, DTCB28C7. This specific code indicates a critical fan motor speed issue inside the camera module. You will also likely see a halt code E5, which represents a total system timeout. The manufacturer knows exactly what is going on here behind the scenes. They have issued Technical Service Bulletin 12-253-23 to officially address this widespread electronic failure. Now let us get into the step-by-step reality of how this repair is actually performed. This is not just a simple code clear you can do in your driveway. It requires an intense reprogramming procedure called a flash write, and the setup must be flawless. Before turning a single wrench, you must pull the fault-freeze frame data from the computer. You are looking for a failure detail code of either OOEC or OOEB. Code OOEC means the internal cooling fan speed is completely low and failing. Code OOEB confirms the failure was explicitly detected during a high-temperature halt scenario. Once verified, you have to completely stabilize the vehicle's electrical system before proceeding. You cannot just hook up a cheap trickle charger from an auto parts store for this. You must connect a professional-grade power supply directly to the vehicle's main battery. The Midtronics DCA 8000 is heavily recommended by the manufacturer to handle this delicate procedure. You set this machine to power supply mode to deliver a dead steady 13.5 volts. If that voltage drops or spikes above 14 volts, the programming immediately aborts itself. Next, you have to properly stage the vehicle inside the repair bay. You firmly apply the electronic parking brake to secure the vehicle safely in place. You switch the ignition to the on position without actually starting the vehicle's engine. Then, you meticulously shift the gear selector lever into the neutral position. This step is absolutely critical to the success of the entire software repair procedure. If you leave the vehicle in park, the computer will automatically turn off the ignition. This automatic shutoff happens after about 60 minutes and will instantly kill the flash process. You must also physically turn off every single electrical load inside the cabin. You shut off the climate control, the seat heaters, the radio, and the rear defroster. You then connect the Subaru Select Monitor diagnostic interface to the OBD2 port. You must verify that the camera's internal temperature is safely below 176 degrees Fahrenheit. Once the parameters are perfect, you push the new optimized control software into the EyeSight module. But here is where the intense physical labor comes into the picture. If the reprogramming fails, you are allowed up to 2 more attempts to force the update. If it fails 3 times, you have to physically rip out the entire EyeSight camera assembly. To do this, you grab a plastic non-marring trim tool from your toolbox. You carefully pry off the large plastic overhead console cover surrounding the rearview mirror. You have to be incredibly gentle because the plastic mounting clips are brittle and snap easily. Once the cover is out of the way, you expose the intricate wiring harnesses. You press the locking tabs and disconnect the main data cables leading into the camera unit. Then, you take a 1/4-inch drive ratchet with a short extension and a 10mm socket. You carefully remove the precision mounting bolts securing the heavy camera bracket to the roof structure. You gently lower the incredibly expensive camera unit out of the vehicle and set it aside. When installing the new module, you absolutely must wear clean, powder-free nitrile gloves. If you smudge the optical lenses with greasy fingerprints, you will ruin the camera's visual contrast. You carefully guide the new bracket back onto the alignment dowels on the windshield glass. You thread the 10mm bolts in by hand to ensure you do not cross-thread the holes. You then torque them down to the exact manufacturer specification using an inch-pound torque wrench. If you under-tighten them, the camera will vibrate violently over potholes, causing system disengagement. After bolting the brand new camera assembly into place, the physical work is still not over. You have to mount a specialized target board in front of the vehicle. This requires a perfectly level shop floor and exact millimeter-perfect measuring tools. You measure from the center of the front wheel hubs to place the calibration targets. You use a laser level to align these targets to the exact center axis of the car. Finally, you run a dynamic recalibration program to teach the new lenses where the road lines are. Now let us talk about the final numbers and the financial reality of this repair. If you catch the issue early and only require the software flash right, labor is billed at 0.8 hours. At an independent shop, you are looking at roughly $80 for labor. If you take it to the dealership, expect to pay around $128 for that successful flash. However, if the module is totally dead from heat damage, you are replacing the entire assembly. That requires a solid 1.4 hours of labor just to remove, replace, and recalibrate. At an independent shop, that is about $140 in physical labor alone. At the dealership, the labor jumps to over $224 for the removal and calibration process. When you factor in the massive cost of the physical camera assembly itself, things get scary. Your out-the-door total could easily push well over $1,200 to restore your driver assist systems. Have you experienced these sudden EyeSight dropouts on your daily commute? Drop a comment below with your symptoms, and do not forget to like and subscribe.
Okay, guys, that was it for the video. Now let's go ahead and look at the official Subaru file here. I'm just going to kind of scroll through this file. You can kind of pause and go back and look, but I want you to see the whole thing here. This specific one is for the Forester 2022 through 2024. A lot of times these will happen to more than just one model. Make sure I'm right here. There we go. So it says a symptom, after the EyeSight camera has been exposed to high humidity temperature conditions without any operation, the cooling fans become inoperable. And diagnostic trouble code B28C7 or B28C7 is detected by the EyeSight stereo camera assembly. The EyeSight system enters into a temporary halt mode with an E5 halt code detected by the EyeSight stereo camera assembly. So that's the important stuff. I will scroll at a rate in which you can pause and read this stuff if you really want to. It's got the diagnostic tree, which is pretty cool. This is information you guys just don't normally see, guys, so you're welcome. I'm kidding. Let's see. I remember when watching the videos talking about the machine that keeps it at that 13.5 volts. I saw the 13.5 volts. A bunch of jargon. This is if you're diagnosing it. I think that's part of the diagnostic tree. And what else do we got here? Confirming the temperature of the camera. Most of you guys probably don't have a bidirectional scan tool or a Subaru version of the scan tool. Those are very expensive, which is why you'd want to take something like this to a dealership. I have something in my eye. And oh, no, we still got more stuff. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, but if you have all the expensive tools, you could do this procedure yourself. It all is read for you here in this official Subaru document, which is public information. And there you go. So all 7 pages. So guys, that'll conclude today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.